got one extra. You can leave if you want to.
Oh, no, I just have to go to work.
We'll call the adjourned meeting in the New Ulm Economic Development Authority for Tuesday, November 15, 2016, 8 a.m. to order. The first item on the agenda is roll call. We have a quorum, so we'll go on to item number 2, approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
We got a motion, a second, to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 3 from the New Ulm Economic Development Corporation Coordinator regarding activities during the month of October 2016. You have them in front of you. So,
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
we got a motion, a second, to approve the activities for the month. For any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 4 from the EDA staff regarding administrative activities during the month of October 2016. Heather?
All right, good morning. We'll go through the Section 8 report found on pages 1 through 5. Note, we had 103 vouchers on the program for the month of October. Disbursements from HUD exceeded payments to landlords by just over $1,200 for the month, and administrative fee program disbursements exceeded expenses by $2 for the month. Note the unaudited balances on pages 3 and 4 of your report, and note 101 vouchers on the program as of November 1st with a waiting list of 75. If there's no questions, I'll move on to the public housing report, pages 6 through 9. Note the monthly and year-to-date program activity. As of October 31st, revenues exceeded expenditures by about $4,200.
I think it's on you. Maybe you want to pull it closer to you.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll try that. I was getting some feedback. Note Broadway House is fully leased with 54 on the waiting list, and the family units are fully leased also with 54 on the waiting list. Moving on to the EDA fund on page 10, note cash assets of $468,000. We have started construction on the new spec house at 629 Fender Drive. The foundation is in, and we should see walls going up this week. On the property rehabilitation loan program on page 11, note available funds of about $329,600. There were 2 loans paid early during the month of October, and we have 1 loan application pending that was actually received in September and is just still pending. Moving on to the rental fund on page 12, cash assets of $71,500 available there, and finishing with the Garden Terrace report. They have 87 units leased, 55 on the waiting list, currently 1 vacancy. They had 2 turnovers last month, and there's 1 move-out notice pending for December. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Heather? Seeing none, entertain a motion accepting the report.
I'd make the motion.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to accept the Economic Development Authority Administrative Report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 5A, receive a public housing assessment score for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2016. Heather?
All right. This is an assessment of our public housing program that's done by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, called FOZ. They look at various aspects of the program as of our fiscal year end of June 30th, 2016. We received a score this year of 96 out of 100. The points lost were under the management part of the program, so I looked into that a little more to see what was going on. We usually receive a 99 or 100. A 96 is a low score, still a high performer overall. And as it turns out, it was a timing issue. I happened to have 2 tenants I was in the process of evicting during that time for unpaid rent, and it was the tenant account receivable report that showed we had tenants that were past due on rent at the time of our fiscal year end, and that's where we lost the points. And that really, you know, it was a timing issue. There wasn't much I could do about it. The tenants have since been evicted, and all the current tenants are current on their rent, but at fiscal year end, we were in a bad position because of those 2 tenants. So we lost a few points there, but overall still a high-performing HRA and still a good score. You know, won't hurt our funding or anything like that.
Good. Anybody else have any questions?
I'll make a motion to receive it.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to receive the report. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 5B, consider motion authorizing payment of the public housing program claims. Anything jump out at you, Heather, or anything, or
Pretty
pretty well,
routine month.
looks like routine?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
We got a motion and a second to accept the claims. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 6A, consider motion accepting quotes, authorize construction and speculative house on Lot 4, Block 3, Milford Heights, First Edition.
All right, if you recall, at the October meeting, this was brought up and this item was tabled in order to give us a little time to see if we could sell the house at 633 Fender Drive. We still don't have a purchase agreement on that house, so I wanted to bring this back up for a decision because the bids are only good for 30 days. So we'll either need to accept them and enter into contract or reject them and notify the bidders that we're passing at this time. So nothing's changed on the action form from last month other than the date of the meeting, just bringing it back for a decision.
If I recall, this is house number 2.
This is the second house.
Right.
The feeling at the time was we didn't want 3 houses on inventory. I assume that's not changed, so
No.
assuming we'll get a motion to reject.
I'll make the motion to reject it.
I'll second it.
We got a motion and a second to reject house number 2. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 6B, consider approving request for proposals, comprehensive community housing study. Heather?
The EDA has periodically in the past conducted housing studies to get a feel for the needs in the community. The most recent study was completed in 2012. Prior to that, a study was done in 2004. The studies are typically done every 5 to 7 years. I believe we were directed to move forward with one after 5 years this round, so we're coming up to that in 2017. At this point, if we start soliciting bids, we wouldn't be approving bid until January, so it would be the 2017 budget, and I'd like to get a jump on it and get moving on it so that we can get it finished and take a look at the needs of the community as we talk about future discussions for the Milford Heights development and that sort of thing. There's a lot's changed in the last 5 years. There's a lot of new housing that's come online. So I'd like to, get a current picture of where we're at. Developers use this information to, determine if there's something that needs to be done that they might want to come in and build. We did budget $20,000 for the study. We do estimate that will be approximately the cost. So it's in the budget, and we just need approval to start taking bids.
Do we have a
Yes.
timeline on this study? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do we have a timeline, or how much time do they usually take to?
If I recall, it took several months once we
Okay.
entered into a contract. So if we enter into a contract in January, I'm hoping by late spring or early summer, we'll have a draft report.
We don't have that timeline in our RFP though, right? Oh, we do. Not to exceed 6 months.
Yeah, I think the last one they started in fall of 2011, and we had the final version in February 2012. So it does take 5-6 months.
Does, okay.
That's why I want to get going on it sooner rather
Yeah.
than later.
What I was gonna comment on is, at our Vision 2020 that Les and I up here both attended, I sat on the committee that dealt with economic development and per se, really housing is what we were discussing, and that was rated probably the second highest priority of our Vision 2020 is the housing, affordable housing, we'll use the word. And so our committee was recommending to the Economic Development Authority to proceed with another study, and then also include in there as far as possibility of using motels also because of all the sports and everything else, the number of people coming to New Ulm. I don't know if this can be part of the study or not. I guess I know nothing about that, but if it is,
Interesting.
Normally, the motels or hotels are not part of it. We're really kind of talking about the apartments,
And-
condos, townhouse, twin homes, single family.
Senior housing?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But along the lines, at least, you know, it's perfect timing to get on with it and find out what our needs are and everything. And like you made the comment with our development up there and stuff like that, where we want to go with that and so on and so forth. So, perfect.
I wonder for the hotel and motel if that would be something the chamber studies for tourism and.
It's very possible. I mean, they could bring in the information that they get off the, the hotel motel tax.
Mm-hmm.
And in essence ask their own, providers what the demand is and try and calculate out if there's need for more hotels. But
Mm-hmm.
if there was a need, you would think the current motel people would be saying, there's a need, I need to add on 30 more rooms or.
Yeah, I didn't know if
Right.
there's a study that they do for those or.
Yeah, we don't
We-
typically do the hotel
Okay.
motel part.
What was the first priority?
The first priority was
Industrial park or?
no.
I was on the post-secondary education one, and that one came back to housing too, that to really try and look at, could we offer in our community more post-secondary education, not necessarily a technical college, but that could be that, but also to provide more specific job site training at the hospital, at some of our factories, but then also have some classroom things that were available as well. But it all came back to affordable housing for, if we were to attract students to come to our community to go to these courses and classes, where would they stay, and is there a place for them to stay? So a lot of the projects that we did talk about came back to housing. So I think the study is really important.
Yeah, I mean, the new apartments that have been built filled up in a fairly short amount of time, and so there's definitely a pent-up demand out there.
And the number one project was targeting New Ulm and promoting New Ulm in a specific city in the metro area to get families to move to New Ulm to pick up these jobs that we have available here. Once again, back to housing again, and what's available and what's affordable, and true affordable housing for some of our either lower income people or our students. And so I think that the study really needs to take a look at that as well.
But there was talk, like I said, the second section of Milford Heights to look at maybe different type of housing, kind of what you just said. Maybe there's something out there that would be more feasible and more economical, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do we need a housing study to realize that?
Sometimes, yeah, really.
Well, but I was on the committee where I was on the EDA 12 years ago and got the last one. If I remember correctly, what it said is we needed one apartment building in town. That was going to be MLC. That's the one we needed in town. Now, 2 other ones have been built and are full. And according to the study, we didn't need them. So if we wait 6 months for the housing study to come back and then sit around, is there something we can do now to help this problem? Why are we waiting 6 months? Because we wait 6 months to get their, January, then they get 6 months to we get in June. We receive it in July. Pretty soon it's 2 years later and we're still going, what are we going to do about that? Yeah, we got to do something. I think when Jeremy Berg went off this board, he said the same thing. We need to start doing more than what we're doing and be a little more active. And now, again, we're sitting here, last 2 or 3 months ago as well, let's wait for the 2020 study. Let's see what that group comes up with, and oh, now we're gonna do a housing study. It just seems like we're studying the problem over and over. We're not finding any solutions to the problem.
Well, one of the things that this study provides is when you have somebody coming in from the outside the community that wants to invest in the community, they're gonna want that study. So what
Yeah.
we're really prepping the study for is not only just to help us who maybe are closer to the problem and saying, well, let's do this or let's do that. It's really for everybody who walks in the door that goes up to the community development office, says, can I get a copy of your latest housing study? And their decisions are then based off of that. Do I invest in the community? Is there opportunity? What section is not being met according to a study? Now, we all understand, you know, anybody that's 60 miles away from New Ulm is an expert. But so whoever puts a study together is going to be basing their conclusions on their knowledge and their history of housing, but they don't really necessarily know New Ulm. So when they come back and say, it looks to me like there's a need for one apartment, there could be two, there could be three, but they're saying there's a need for apartments. And so we got to kind of take that at face value, but still look at your community and what's here.
And what's been frustrating is we have two developers who keep claiming they're going to be building and they never quite do, and you know, one with 36 and one with 45. You know, are they going to really do it or not? Are we going to sit here another couple of years and they're still not done? But I know St. Peter, I really liked what they did with the old community hospital grounds, and I don't know what you would call those apartments, but they're small, one bedroom, maybe there's a couple 2-bedroom apartment complex, and they put a playground. They kind of built them out in a circle and then put a playground in the middle. Really used that property really well, and it fit a really important need for their particular city. And I think we have that, almost that exact need here as well. But hopefully that study's going to tell us that. I don't know if we can up the speed at all. I don't know how long they normally take. If they're always 6 months, you know, they're basically crunching a lot of numbers. But
Would 5 months be better? Yeah, it's 30
3 months
days.
would be better.
Well, I guess
2
I
months
agree.
would be better.
We need to do this. A lot has changed in the last 4 years, and to Pete's point, yeah, we got to do things. But on the other hand, we're not going to probably build another garden terrace.
No.
Let the private industry do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just rejected building a third spec home. You know, do we be more aggressive in that area or not? I mean, we just said no to that. So we need to do this. It does feed into the private industry looking for information, and so we get on it and we order it and we plow forward, and in the meantime we can, hopefully it will allow us to, do we do something different in the Milford Heights area? Do we go a different direction or not, or do we plow ahead and make some decisions before getting this?
why don't, since there were only a few of us that were at that Vision 2020, why don't we ask that group to come and present to us at the next meeting about their findings and when the projects, so that we're all on the same page with that information. And that would probably be Eric Bodie, would probably be the one to contact regarding that.
Would it make more sense to wait till January? Because
Well,
Jason and I go off in December, so what's the point of us listening to it and then two members
Well, we
come in
could do
after
that.
that? Would that make more sense as opposed?
Invite them to the January meeting?
Sure.
And then as we were talking earlier before the meeting, about appointments and stuff, the one gentleman you mentioned, he was on the Economic Development Authority before. He's actually the chairman of our group that was out there at Vision 2020, so might make a good mix too if we need an appointment, so.
Who was that?
Dan Brom.
Oh,
Dan.
sure.
Mhm.
He's the head of our mortgage department. So I mean that
He might be interested in coming back. I
He
can
said
let the
he would
mayor
be.
know.
we talked to him, yeah, and he'd bring a wealth of knowledge just with his background in,
Mm-hmm.
real estate lending too.
Yeah.
The mayor is always happy to take suggestions. He has a lot of positions to try and come up with
Mhm.
names for, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll pass that along.
Anybody else have any concerns or anything about the study?
I make a motion to approve the request for proposals.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. With no more business, meeting adjourned.